Stop ruining the surprises.
Oh, Hannah's already bossy.
I know how this works.
You've seen the show?
I've seen the show.
Oh, okay.
I'm here.
Welcome back to the Old Colony Cast, a podcast about all things Plymouth and surrounding areas. I am your host, Andy, joined by other host Hanna.
Hello.
And we have a special guest star today. Do you want to introduce?
Are we doing his episode first or my episode first?
Well, I mean, you told him not to say something. I mean, he's still here.
I'm going to be here either way.
Yeah,
he's still allowed to chime in.
He is a guest star.
He's not going to be like
I know he asked.
Muted.
He said, will I just sit quietly? Well, you did. I don't know, whatever you want to do.
Yes, he will sit quietly on a live mic because that's the most proper way to do it.
So, wait, who is here?
One of my top two favorite Dowlings, Donny Dowling.
Finally made the list.
Yeah.
Feels good.
Welcome to the show, man.
Thanks for having me.
Who else is here?
One of my top 50 favorite fish. I'm in the top 50, buddy. Welcome.
I am so tempted to make you try to list
I know,
49 kind of other
Tuna,
fish.
Just your first.
Salmon, jelly,
Not a fish.
star.
Not a fish.
Arguable.
Are you arguing that you're an actual fish?
Yes. It is embroidered on my shirt.
Well, I'll say that there is no such thing as a fish.
That's not this show.
I know. But
You haven't gotten on that one yet.
yeah, not yet.
You guys are making me uncomfortable.
Mom and Dad, stop fighting.
That's how I spend all my life.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, so now can we do the update?
We could do, and they're so small,
Okay.
but Donnie had a fun one from today.
I found a Kilroy was here on a rock on Onset Beach today.
Oh, you found it today?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. And it looks fresh.
Yep. Youth.
You know how those youth are all
Kids
right,
these
Kilroy
days.
was here. They're like,
You
I
said that
love
as
World
if you
War
were
II.
accusing Walter of doing it.
He probably did.
You're like, looks very fresh.
No,
With
no,
Walter
no.
right next to it.
I'm not a great supervisor.
I was going to accuse Donnie of doing it.
Yeah.
Honestly, if Walt did that, I'd be really impressed with his
Yeah.
with his skill.
His spelling.
Yeah,
You know?
He's advanced.
I know.
Spelling alone. The other thing was our fan, not our number one fan.
Fish's mom.
Again,
Yeah.
Hannah, audio meeting when you point at me like that,
Never-
no one can
I'm not talking
tell.
about Fish's mom, but the other one that recognized us, and his Facebook name is Chuck McSherry or something
Yeah,
like that.
which is not the name he
That's
gave
not
me.
his real name. He commented on something with his real name forever ago.
Did he?
Yes.
Yeah, I probably already
After
forgot
it was on an episode post, and he said, "Ha, my name is."
Yeah.
I can't
now
remember.
I can't even remember the two names that I would get confused now. Like, that's how bad I am.
I feel
Or
like we should
maybe
just
he was
call
like-
him Chuck.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like Chuck.
If that
like
is
Chuck, I can remember.
He's
'cause
Chuck.
it's- Yeah.
But
If
I
he's
didn't
Chuck on
realize
Facebook,
that
he's
was
Chuck.
him.
That's-
So all of a sudden I would just get notifications. And I'm like, this Chuck guy loves every episode.
yeah.
Yeah.
He likes every episode.
He's a good fan.
Excellent fan.
He's got a hat. I gave him a hat.
I just thought it was so
To thank
funny
him for
that
listening.
that was the person you were referring to, because I had been seeing him
Scott, maybe
active on Facebook
Scott
for a little
sounds
bit.
familiar. That's a name that people use.
We do know a lot of Scots.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a fair number.
I have a friend named Scott who goes by Pat.
That's true.
That's not annoying at all.
It's a family thing.
Yeah.
You know?
He has a brother named Joe,
Yeah.
but his name is not Joe.
My whole father's.
Is
We
it
have
Pat?
two
like that.
friends named that, because Disney too.
Yeah.
And he goes by Joe.
Yeah.
But his
My
name-
father went by Tom, and his name was Roger.
Oh wow, was Tom a name at all?
It was his middle name.
Oh
but,
yeah, so
you
middle
know.
name thing.
Yeah,
I want to be Ralph.
Ralph. So our fix this in post, Fish. So our special guest today is Ralph Dowling.
Yeah, some people do it. Some people do it. None of this is segueing into what I'm going to
No,
talk about.
should we just keep talking until we accidentally stumble into one?
Maybe.
Well, what are we talking about today?
So a while ago we had the guest on our show, Diane. What was her last name? She wrote the Mother Crew book. Remember that?
Yeah.
And this lady I don't even know if she realized what a podcast was, but we convinced her to go down into a creepy basement in a building downtown.
It wasn't a creepy basement.
It's
Well,
a very
she didn't know
well lit,
us, and
clean
she was
basement.
like,
basement.
Okay, this
Although
is where we're going.
I do have a now friend who at the time was just a total stranger. I'm like, you should come on my podcast. It's at the basement, the craft beer cellar, and she was like, the basement and the cellar, and she totally like backed out. And
Yeah.
now she's like, when are you gonna have me on? I'm like, you had your chance. See,
So she mentioned we talked about a myriad of things that had to do with Plymouth history. You interviewed her mostly.
I remember having her on. I don't remember her last name. I'm assuming Fish was looking it up.
But
But-
she mentioned, because I brought up growing up off Federal Furnace Road, and she said, oh, yes, back in whatever times, they used to harvest bog iron. There were bog iron, not fields, not works.
Did I ask what bog iron was?
No, none of us did, and it's been in my brain ever since.
Because I know Bog Iron Brewery, and until
Yes.
they harvest bog iron, I'm like, I don't ever remember asking.
So
Like I don't know, never even thought about it being a thing.
I haven't stopped thinking about it since that episode, and it
was only like what 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
Yeah, I'm like, what is? Because she said that's where they harvested a lot of bog iron from the bogs off Federal Furnace Road, and I was like, interesting.
Can I guess
Yeah.
what it is? It is wood that has fallen into the bog and become petrified.
No.
It is turtles that have fallen into the...
Do you know what it is, Fish?
Okay, before I start guessing, her name was Diane Finn.
Thank you, Diane Finn. I almost said Feinstein. The old senator.
The
Yeah.
congresswoman from California. Yes.
Yes, that's who it was. I was like, it's not Diane Feinstein.
I bet you could get her on.
I bet she wouldn't remember being on anyway.
Yeah, she passed away last year.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're not.
Can't get her on anymore, Donnie.
You know, not with that attitude.
So
All right. All we need is a Ouija board.
I know.
We're fine. I think bog iron is basically naturally occurring iron deposits that kind of bubble up in swamps.
How does he know?
Because he's a giant nerd.
How does he know? Yes.
I am a full-size dork, dang it.
But what caught my attention of that is that I had no idea.
Isn't that just iron then?
It is, but iron is found in different areas. So depending on where it's found, that's what it's named after.
Yeah,
There's
it's not mined. It's
Yeah.
like you don't have to dig down. It just kind of is there.
So there's
Weird.
pond iron, there's bog iron. That's all the irons I looked into. But if you find
There's a
iron,
steam iron.
yeah, if you find iron in a place,
There's a
think
9 iron.
It's named after that kind of terrain, I guess.
Interesting.
So it is naturally occurring. It is just a clump of mineral-like substance that is mostly made of iron. And it happens when iron-rich water mixes with bacteria. The bacteria do their thing, like what they always do. They just eat molecules. And then what happens once that byproduct from the bacteria oxidizes, and it starts to create iron. And you have probably seen oxidized iron-rich water, which likely could potentially have an iron deposit in that area. And it's when the water looks very rusty.
Can I guess where I've seen it?
Yes.
At the Brewster Garden.
Yeah. Town
Because it's
Brook.
always really gross right there.
Yes. And that is a very marshy, swampy area. It could definitely be there, or it could just be iron rich soil and the deposit hasn't formed yet. So either way, pretty cool. It just forms over time. There's no I watched a guy try to do it in his lab earlier. He's like, this is what you do. And you would just wait.
For our listener, Hannah is spinning her hand in
Hannah
a
is
circle.
basically just kind of
spinning an invisible beaker
Yeah.
of water. He
Yes.
goes, you just wait. So anyway, that's how it's formed. That's not what the episode's about. The fact is that we were
I was
an
gonna say
iron
that's
rich.
the shortest episode we've ever had.
It was an iron rich area in Massachusetts, particularly the eastern side. But think how many salt marshes, water marshes, any marshy area / pond. We had a lot of areas that had
Bog iron.
bog iron, pond iron. It was harvested pre-colonial, English colonial America. So whomever was here before in Canada, believe it was French and Spanish a little bit.
Mostly French.
Yeah. They had, and even they think it was pre that, Vikings. They believe Vikings had found some and taken some from Newfoundland.
Yes.
They don't think they came this far as of yet, but they were up there and they believe there was evidence of Vikings harvesting it.
I was
Bog
also
iron
watching
up there.
Ancient Aliens today, so maybe aliens were doing it too. Which is
Potentially.
really how the show works. Is
Yeah.
They're like, there's a thing, and maybe aliens did
Yeah.
it.
There's no way people
19
could've.
seasons.
So, part of the reason we have a lot of iron is because of the glacial land movement we had. So it just made all the crevices and stuff to make it an iron-rich place. Sorry, moving ahead in my notes. Oh, I read this cute article and it said colonial America. It was like cannonballs and cranberries. Because it was like they were harvested from the same place. Where you would get cranberries
okay.
is the same place you would find iron. Pretty cool, huh?
Cannonballs and Cranberries sounds like a
So
should be like a pub.
it sounds like a Dropkick Murphy song that I should know.
Oh, that does sound like
it really does sound like a Dropkick Murphy song.
Or an album. I can see an album.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
As soon as New England was kind of developing, being a place, not even just in Plymouth, like prior to that, they were finding bog iron. Because obviously, iron was a thing before they came to this U.S. or colonial America, right? You guys know
I
that?
mean, iron's probably been a thing
It's
Yeah.
been a
before
thing.
people.
So
Iron's been a thing for a very long time.
smelting iron and
Oh,
using it
okay. I
was
got
a
you.
thing way prior before they came here. So they were harvesting it in England, wherever it was,
Yes,
all of the places.
yes, the Iron Age is several thousands.
Yes. I know. For our listeners, that
Yeah.
I don't want them thinking that iron started. Like we invented it like right around just before the Pilgrims came. We found iron, and that's when the Iron Age happened. It's not what happened. So, it was used as a major export from the colonies to kind of like pay to be here. Do you know what I mean? They would send timber. We've
Yeah.
heard of that. We've
Well, like
heard of
the whole thing was like a
other
business investment.
right?
Yeah, basically you got paid. People paid for you to come here, and then you had to repay your investment.
It's like they pay you to be here. What did I say?
They pay you to work
They
here.
pay you to work here. Different show.
Different shit.
It wasn't even a show. I think we were playing Dungeons and Dragons.
Bunch of nerds on the show.
So, this leads us to Saugus. You guys ever been to Saugus?
Yeah, there's an arena there,
There's
isn't there?
the Saugus Arena. Are we
Yeah.
going there? The Aganis,
Hopefully.
The Aganis Arena?
Oh, well, Monster Jams at the Saugus Arena sometimes.
okay.
Like the monster truck thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
I think I saw Jane's Addiction and Live there.
How was it? I just saw live recently, too.
Live was meh.
yeah, that's how I felt, too.
Jane's Addiction was one of my favorite bands. Like I've seen them a bunch of times, and they were awesome because like they were like playing on stage, and then they all left the stage, but it was like way too early for it to be over, and so everyone's kind of standing there being like, "What's going on?" And then the music started again, but they weren't on stage, and so everyone's like, "What is going on?" And they'd all like gone around, and there was like a little mini stage in the middle of the general admission area, and they did like a whole acoustic set there. And then like went back up on stage. It was pretty awesome.
that's cool.
Fun shows.
I haven't really spent a lot of time in Saugus. I get a lot of Facebook Marketplace things that are in Saugus. I avoid it. So anyway, 1646 to 1668, Saugus Ironworks was in full function. So this was like the first like smelting plant, you could call it.
Sure.
Why did you make that face then?
Factory.
Because I think we talked about this during the Dungeon Rock episode.
Did we?
The one you just did?
yeah.
Saugus Ironworks?
I think the story was the pirates were trying to get tools from the Saugus Ironworks, which were in effect
Oh my
during the
god.
time.
Maybe that's what like incepted this idea into me.
But yeah,
for me
yeah,
to do
yeah,
it.
because that was part of the story where they were like buying the.
I was here and I don't remember this at all.
I know I was the one talking. You weren't listening.
I literally just listened to it too.
Yeah, that was the whole premise. They were like buying tools off
Yeah.
the Sagas Ironworks with like pirate treasure. Booty.
Okay, so I guess to clarify things, Sagas Ironworks didn't necessarily like make things; they made raw iron to sell. So maybe
Also, the pirates weren't real, Hannah. Like none of this needs to actually hold together.
They were ghosts. That doesn't mean they're not real.
yeah. So anyway, they were using a method for. That's so funny. They were using a method called the blooming method, which involved a 23-foot tall blast furnace to melt the iron and separate. So iron ore. Do you know
Yep.
about right? So that's what it is, to separate the iron out of
The other stuff.
all the other
Yeah,
stuff.
you basically have to heat it up hot enough that the iron melts and
It's
everything
like-
kind of
it's like
sorts
a
out.
very specific degree too. I didn't write it down. It was 1,171.2 or something stupid. And I said, "How did they know?
Science.
How did they know?
How did they know? It was the 1600s."
They might have
didn't.
just
They were like,
known
"That's
you had
hot.
to get it hot enough.
Hot, hot, hot."
Okay,
Yeah.
iron's melting point is 1,538
close.
degrees C.
I was so close. Honestly, that's not bad. One of the reasons they picked Saugus was because it was near a lot of the iron bogs, like where they would actually collect the iron. It was near water to help power the plant and river access to help transport it after it was made into raw goods. There's a name for it in a second.
Ingots?
I think it might be, yeah.
Good job, Andy.
Nice.
Yeah.
I watch it smelting YouTube channel.
It was definitely like,
It's very, very fun. His dog is named Ingot.
that's so funny.
Ingot, and
Dang
he's
it.
got two. I'll think of it. They're French bulldogs. They're adorable.
It's not Dinget.
No, it's another like
Like smelting.
yeah, it's
Pun.
not like bar, but it's like ingot.
Yeah, that's cute.
Nugget?
No. I
So
feel like I remember Nugget. It'll come to me.
part of the
I'll just yell it out.
Okay, please do. Part of the process, which I feel like is depicted in movies when they're like trying to refine iron, they're like they beat it, get the oxygen out. That's what's going on. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So they do that. They mold it. They would make it into these route bars, is what they called them. And then that material was what was mostly shipped off to England, shipped around the colonies. It was also noted that it was probably one of the major, like winning features of why we won the Revolutionary War is because we had that material on hand so readily.
Makes
and
sense.
We like didn't have to get it from someone.
We could make our stuff here instead
Yes,
of like shipping it
exactly.
overseas.
Instead of, say, like England was importing it from the colony they were suddenly at war at.
Right.
with.
Yeah.
So one thing that happened back in the day was Lake Messapoag had its water level like completely. It was like almost drained. They like widened some of the mouths of it to like release the water level.
Did they drain the water to get at the pig iron?
To
or
get-
the bog iron?
Yes, and pig iron is something too.
Yeah, pig
Pig's
iron.
iron you find inside of pigs.
Oh,
Yes.
that's right.
Yeah,
Is that true? I don't feel like that's
Yes.
It is
true.
something,
See,
though.
the key is you go around with a magnet, and all the pigs that go pulled toward the magnet
Yeah.
have pig iron in them, and that's how you get it
Donnie,
out.
this show is very educational.
I know. I think pig iron is just the iron before it's
Like
clean.
properly
Okay.
processed.
Pig iron has
Yeah.
impurities in it.
I like that answer better.
So there's iron ore.
Yes.
There's bog iron, which is iron ore, and then pig iron is the bog iron before they clean it. I think, and it's all iron ore.
Okay.
In Skyrim,
Maybe.
it takes 2 iron ores to make 1 iron ingot.
Wow.
Ingot. That's the other dog's name.
I think you said ingot.
Did no. Damn it.
Yeah, because I
So it's
rhymed it.
Ingot and
Also ingot.
no, they had different names.
I believe this like
Say other metal words.
oh my god
Bar.
other metal
Slag.
words. This lake, like I said, was drained for one of those reasons. I'm sure other things like that occurred. It was one of those things that was kind of noted as like mass land grabs from indigenous people for many reasons, but this was one of those reasons to attempt to get all the iron out. And that company, I believe, bought several towns in the area around, not around Saugus, because Saugus is like, is it down? Do I know where Saugus is?
I think Saugus is...
It's near Lynn.
Yeah, it's like North
okay.
Shore.
All right. So, no, it wasn't far from them at all. What was, what's that place that the pond is on?
Which
With
pond?
Henry Thoreau.
On Walden Pond?
Yeah, Walden Pond. Where's that, near Lincoln?
Concord.
That area. They had like purchased a lot of the towns, a lot of the land in those towns. And then once they depleted the iron, they sold it off as farmland. But they didn't like, I'm like, who did they buy it from? They didn't really buy it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Picking up what I'm putting down?
They bought it with like, here,
Listener, you
here's
can
a squirrel.
Listener, you can hear the air quotes just as well as we can.
I don't think they like, officially bought it. They attained the land somehow.
Acquired.
And yeah, I mean that business from that specific smelting plant was not in function forever because they did run out of iron in that area. But iron was all over New England, so I shouldn't say that. It was a lot in the side of Massachusetts. And let me read through the scribbles. Sending it to England, blah, blah, blah.
It's like a whole family thing.
Oh, so there was, what was that?
It's like a whole family thing. Walter
I know,
included in the notes.
everyone was included. Because there was something called the Iron Act in 1750, because prior to the Revolution, the king, whomever in the government, because there was a time without a king a little bit. So
This was earlier.
Okay.
Like a lot earlier.
I'm not quite sure when that was, but mid
to late 17th century.
They realized that there was going to be an imbalance in power because of the iron coming out of the colonies, and they didn't want to lose the upper hand. So preemptively, they made the Iron Act, which forbid colonies from actually rolling the iron and making it into sheets and like hammering it further than the raw iron. So they weren't actually allowed to like smith a lot of things. Makes sense.
Yeah.
In 1776, there were 18 iron mills shipping to about 30 tons of iron to England.
Wow.
That like year, I guess. Isn't that crazy?
Like, is
like
that
a
just for Massachusetts or?
No, in the colonies.
Okay.
Colonies total. And it was Saugus Iron Works is in the history books as being the beginning of the American steel industry. That's where
Yep.
it started. And that's pretty much it about bog iron. You can still find it today.
You should go right now.
It's still producing.
I mean, it's pretty cold. Can
It
we
is a little
wait
chilly.
until it's nicer out?
Do you use like a magnet to find it?
Is iron magnetic?
I think so.
Yes.
Yes.
So you could.
Iron is like explicitly the magnetic one.
I was reading a thing. You just like all you do is like dig, but like you'd have to just turn the soil and they look for those rusty spots. That's like the dead giveaway.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah.
So you mean like any swampy? Like in my brain, we're specifically talking about cranberry bogs.
Any swampy area?
Yep.
It doesn't need to be a bog.
So that doesn't have to be cranberry.
So there's swamps like could be categorized as a bog, a naturally occurring one.
Okay.
We have like agricultural bogs.
Yeah, we don't. Yeah, for some reason we don't call them cranberry swamps.
But like I've seen wild cranberries in the area that it grows in, like is considered like a bog, but they're like
just a swamp.
it's not even a swamp. So we've seen them in the dunes in P-Town, and it's like a low-laying area of land that like are surrounded by sand that like it's where cranberries grow naturally. But because it's low-laying, it gets a lot of water. It becomes a
I
bog,
see.
but it doesn't look like the bogs we have today.
Huh.
Get it? Maybe?
Kind of.
Bullion.
That's the
Is that
dog's
the
name.
dog's
That's
name?
the other dog's name.
Yeah, I was gonna say cube.
Yeah. In my head, I'm like, bullion. I'm like, no, that's a metal word, right? It's not just soup.
Cube. But yeah, that ever since that was mentioned to us in that episode, I've never not thought about it.
Just funny because I don't recall that at all.
She was like, "Oh, federal furnace." They used to, which makes sense. Like, I believe there was something of the industry there, which is why it's called like federal furnace
Oh, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
road. So
So
there
that's
was
like a blast furnace or something.
something like that was there. Yeah, isn't that neat? Connections. Everything's making sense. It was a federally run furnace. Maybe. I don't know. That's all I got, though.
Okay. I
Okay.
think that's the part where we stop talking.
And thanks for checking out the show today, listeners. If you enjoyed the content today, you can go over to patreon.com/Inebri-art to support the show. You can join over there for just a few dollars a month and help us provide this fun content that you just checked out. You can also email us at Inebri-art.com with your questions, complaints, and concerns, or you can find us on all social medias at Inebri-art or at Inebri-art6 on Instagram. And also don't forget to check out our other shows, Bar Talk Podcast, Old Colony Cast, Inebri-art, and all the other shows on the Inebri-art Network, which you can find at Inebri-art.com. Thanks again for listening.